Greetings, internet. If you remember yesterday or the day before, I'm not sure when I uploaded that one. I'm recording them on the same day, but I may have uploaded that on Tuesday, may have done it on Wednesday. This may be coming out Wednesday, could be coming out Thursday, could be coming out Friday. I'm not sure what I'm going to upload this week and what I'm going to have time to do, so I might space it out just a little bit. But at any point, if you're watching this, it's today, right? Get it? I guess it's not really a joke, but it would be today if you're watching this. So it's still, for me, the 14th and cloudy, 37 degrees. Apple stock's down a tiny bit. We got the sun setting at 4:26. And apparently my stopwatch is appropriate for this video. What is that, a minute and 24 seconds? What could we care about that only spends a minute and 24 seconds? Well, it's what's in this pouch. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, hello there. Did you mention Carver's Customs? I think this is the custom size I had them do. I'm not sure if their mini tri would quite fit this. This is a 3-inch one that is just a smidge. I don't want to say yeah, I guess it's maybe just a little bit big. I don't know if it would fit in the smaller one, but anyway, Carver's Customs. They'll make you custom ones. Look for the C. Anyway, get that out of here. Find them on Facebook. You know where to find them. Anywho, so the Rotastone. This might be a little awkward because of the camera's at quite an elevation, so my hand is actually like, my arm wants to be right here, but the way I carry this a lot, it's more like up here. So I might be positioned awkwardly, or probably just got quiet because I had to stand quite a bit further from my phone. But anyway, let's take a look at the Rotastone by Rotablade. So this is designed as essentially a worry stone spinner. So it's not your traditional spinner. Now, I'll be honest, I couldn't find my Allen wrenches, and this didn't come with a tool with it, which might be one of my only / biggest criticisms for it. It looks like it is I'm not sure what the millimeter is on that, and I don't think that's a torque inside, but it might be, but it looks like it's just an Allen wrench. But I didn't want to strip it, and I couldn't find all my Allen wrenches, and the only one I had was just a smidge too small, and I think if I forced it, it would have potentially opened it, but it's not mine. I'm borrowing it. It's on loan from the Bow collection. I'm pretty sure it's Bo. If not, I'll address it and I'll get it right in the comments. And I'm sorry, whoever it was, if it's not Bo, but I'm pretty sure it's Bo. He had it. He had it ordered, shipped it to me, and then is having me. So he hasn't even gotten it yet. They had it shipped right to me, and I've had it for about a week and been playing around with it. And then I'm going to ship it to him. But a lot of times with my reviews, I kind of jump in there, but being that this was so different, I really wanted to have a couple days to kind of get my hands on it and see what I thought of it. So this is the stainless steel. They also offer it in titanium, and it's essentially 2 metal plates. And what I was starting to say is when you take this apart, this little cap comes off, and then you've got the 2 halves. And I don't know what bearing's in there. I don't know if it's an R188 or not. They don't mention specifically what type of bearing it is, other than it's a hybrid. But yeah, so I haven't opened it up to look inside it. But anyway, so it's a media blasted or some sort of blasted stainless steel. Now, for me personally, if this was mine, I would absolutely be taking it apart and I would be giving this a mirror polish. I just think this would feel tremendous. Probably my biggest criticism is more my personal taste on a media blasted finish. I'm just not a huge fan of how that feels. But yeah, this thing is kind of neat, and it's a whole different style of fidgeting than a spinner. So again, I wanted to get some time on it. So let's weigh it real quick as well. And it says 115 here. I think their website mentions 120. So, and my scale is usually pretty accurate, but I haven't really checked to make sure it was calibrated lately. So anyway, let's talk about this. This is sort of like my initial impressions on this is a haptic coin and a spinner had a baby. A haptic coin and a spinner walk into a bar, get wasted, go home together. 9 months later. I don't know how long a spinner takes to give birth. Or a haptic coin for that matter. I'm not sure who would be the gentleman and who would be the lady. She's a lady. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So, let's take a look at this a little closer here. We got some nice rounding on the edges, and then a little bit of a flat, and then it kind of dishes back in. So it's almost, stubby-like in this edges. I wouldn't be surprised, I don't have my stubby on me, to see if this here was a similar rounding, or I think bullnose, opposite of fillet. Anyway, this is obviously not as wide as what's on a stubby, but this feels very stubby-like in terms of the rounded angle there, the amount of curvature you've got. Then you've got these generous little cuts that are pretty great for me. And then, yeah, a nice little dish in the middle. Now on this side, you've got sort of the cap and sort of the button. So initially, spinning this guy, I think you have to get it out of your mind. And they mentioned this on the website, that this isn't for like fast fidgeting. Like I'm kind of someone that really likes to preload and get really fast spins, and you can get a technique down and get this guy going kind of fast, but it's not really meant for that. It's not meant for really fast fidgeting, so if you're someone that wants to whip it out there, this doesn't really kind of work that way. Again, although you can get some good fidgeting with it. But yeah, for me, it's neat. It's neat to have in your hand. So you do kind of want to hold it in a bit of a dish, get a little flat spot. And if you're curving too much, it's easy for your fingers to round up and hit the sides and kind of slow it down, which I don't really find that satisfying. That kind of bothers me, feeling that drag. Sometimes I like the feeling of a spinner kind of dragging, but for me, it's getting the right feel where my pinky's like right there, catching it, my index finger's right there, but nothing's actually touching that top dish, and I can kind of spin it freely and get good little spins. So there's a couple different ways I find that spinning this really works. One is getting your finger on the outside of this arm here. I find in a lot of cases that actually gets me a better grip, surprisingly, than trying to get it in this little dish. I don't know if it's the release off these little divots that doesn't really work for me, but you can get good spins off of there too. So that's the other way you can spin it, is pushing off inside one of these little divots, inside one of these little corners, and that gets you a pretty neat release. And it kind of feels unique, and then you can kind of grab obviously on the inside, and that's more for almost this kind of fidgeting, and just kind of pushing off the inside. It's a little easier, especially on this side, you know, if you're just kind of almost moving your finger back and forth, like, it's kind of neat. So it's kind of like, again, Rotastone like, where the top spins and the bottom doesn't. So here we're just grabbing, getting good old gorilla paws on it. We're not trying to spin it freely, we're just kind of rubbing it around. Very nice. Hands are discoloring from the cold. Very nice. You can do that on the outside here. You can get them kind of side by side and just kind of, you know, wiggle them back and forth. The other thing you can do with this is this does sort of work like a button. It almost might be nice to have something that you could replace this with that would be like a button, or something to, like a little plug to kind of raise your finger on a little bit. Because what you can do is, if I use my fingernail, oops, I can sort of spin it kind of freely, and it's a very neat, interesting sensation. It's different from a spinner. Spinning it like that, you can get little faster spins on it. But then having this whole other side not move, that's kind of unique and kind of cool. So I think having a bigger button here as an option. I don't think I would want it there all the time, because again, I think this is kind of unique for what it does. Like this right here is really nice. Just spinning it. Twisting it. It does make a little bit of noise. Now I saw that some had some issues with the plates grinding. This one doesn't have that issue, but especially when it's really quiet, like you get kind of a ringing from that. But it's not too bad. But yeah, so fidgeting on this side with that little spot in the middle that doesn't move isn't as satisfying. So, but you get it on this side, good to go. What I'm also really enjoying is on my desk, sort of this sort of a thing. So just kind of having it on the desk, and almost like a scroll wheel of some sort. Maybe not, yeah, like a scroll wheel. Not like a mouse scroll wheel, but like a little, what's the word for that? There's a film term I'm thinking of, scrubbing, like a little scrubbing wheel, right? Yeah. I could be a little DJ. DJ Tanner, full house. Right, something like that. Spinning it around here, so. Yeah, it's got a lot of neat little fidgeting things with it, and kind of as I've played with it, I found a little more things that I like. So when I'm kind of handling it and I'm in the car, I'm really wanting to hold it like this, and I'm kind of pushing off and really trying to find this outer edge. So even if I get one of these guys here, I'm really trying to get my thumb, again, I'm at like an awkward angle here, but really trying to push off the side as opposed to the top. I find it just spins much better pulling off the side, personally. But yeah, it's neat. So what do these guys go for? They go for 125 BSP, British Sterling pounds. That translates to, as of today, in the current exchange rate, about 165, and I believe it's $15 shipping to the US. So you're looking at about $190 to get this shipped to you. And then a little bit more for titanium. I'm not sure if the titanium was $135. I think it was $135 on the old BSP. So that would up us closer to just over $200, I think, about $205, $210. Yeah, it's kind of neat, and it's very unique, and there isn't really much else like it. So it comes down to the Can Hobby Timmy recommend. Did we talk about the negatives? I wish it had a bit more of a bigger button. I prefer a mirror finish. I can't can't really think of anything else negative, partially because this is kind of like its own thing. There isn't really anything else like this to compare it to. So if I had different ones with really different textures or different grips or something I could appreciate, it might be easier to say something negative. So can we recommend? For me, I feel like my scale is either just 1.5 or 2. I haven't really found anything that's like 1 or like half or 2 down. We'll see. That's kind of the scale I've been using so far. But we're going to give this a 1.5. It's a little pricey, but I think it's definitely worth that cost. But being that it's something so unique and so different, it's hard to know if you're going to like it or if you're going to appreciate it or want it. So if you're a fan, if you're a flan, if you're like some sort of gelatinous dessert, if you're a fan of Rotablade, it's probably worth picking up because you probably like their other stuff and you're probably going to dig this, and it is cool and it is unique and there isn't anything else like it, which that on its own I think makes it special and worth that. I think right now they're showing is in stock and shipping within 3 weeks, and I think pretty much everything they're doing these days is shipping a lot faster than what it says on the site. I think they're saying like 3 weeks, and a lot of people are seeing it in a few days shipping. So, oh, internet, are you okay, internet? Come back to me, internet. Don't go into the light. Don't jump. You're so young, internet. You've got so much great stuff ahead of you. Oh, we saved you. Hobby Timmy saves you. What was I saying? Yeah, so I think they're shipping pretty quickly. So I think this is definitely something that is, I think, worth picking up. Again, I think the thumbs down is that there's nothing else really to compare to. So you don't know if you're going to like it until you get it. And spending $160 in the U.S., 165 or more, again, I guess once you factor in the shipping, is kind of a lot to spend on something you're not sure of. So take that for what it's worth. But I hope getting a closer look at it will help you decide if you think it is something for you. And again, I think these sort of things, pushing the envelope a little bit, if they're the first ones doing something like this and then other people start making it, that's good too, or making things similar. I don't know if there's enough of a market where we'll see a flood of these, but might see a couple things. I think the pocket lore folks are doing that looks very much different, but at the same time, in some respects, sort of similar. It's sort of like a big coin where you spin the face of it, which looks really, really cool as well. I think that's going to be a hot item. So be on the lookout for that. So if you're not in that group, join that as well. But anyway, yeah, Rotastone by Rotablade. Hobby Timmy gives it a pretty solid endorsement because for what it is, it's pretty sweet and pretty unique. So I'm digging on this thing. So I'm gonna have to send it back, which is kind of sad. And this is where, I think for me, having it in my hands now and playing around with it, I don't know if it would fit in my EDC enough to warrant me purchasing. But I think especially if I find a deal for one that's been banged up, I'm definitely gonna look at getting it and putting a mirror polish on it. So that's what we're gonna look for. So anyway, internet, that's gonna do it for today. Hope you enjoyed. Kisses.